Hello. Hey, 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 hey. What is up, guys? Happy third week of February. I hope everybody had a lovely Valentine's Day, whether it was with a special someone, with a friend, with yourself. Yeah, I hope it was a good day for you guys. This week, we have someone who is super established on the back end of the entertainment industry coming on. His name is Brian Rapaport. He is a music journalist, commercial photographer, visual and 3D artist operating underneath the moniker pixeleyes. He has worked with artists such as GRiZ, Clozee. He just did the cover art for their new song that just came out like last week, which is super exciting. He's worked with Steve Aoki, Liquid Stranger, Jai Wolf, Keys N Krates, and many other artists. So he is working with the best, among the best, super, super established. And he is a writer and photographer for EDM.com. He's been working with them for 2 years. He's contributing to stories about emerging new artists. He travels to festivals. He covers tons of events across the United States. I was so hyped to sit down and talk with him about everything under the umbrella of what he does, including things in the NFT space. So buckle in. This is one hell of a conversation, and I hope you guys learn a thing or two. Don't forget, you can get these podcast ad-free exclusive bonus content, funny shit, not funny shit, all of that stuff on my Patreon at www.patreon.com/thisisLizzyJane. Also on my Patreon, one-on-one lessons, sample packs, vocal packs, vlogs, all that shit. So go check it out. The link is linked below. If you like what I am doing, please make sure to follow us on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, comment, share, let your best friend know, let your mom know, let your sister or your brother know that we're doing something cool over here. Without further ado, this is Lizzy Jane, and you're listening to the Lizzy Jane podcast in 3, 2, 1. The show today was brought to you by VitaPLUR E-Boost Gum. With no pill to take or powders to mix, VitaPLUR E-Boost Gum is a first-of-its-kind energy rave supplement that provides magnesium, electrolytes, and antioxidants while you chew. VitaPLUR is the perfect complement to my active lifestyle, whether it's at the festival, on the road touring, or hitting the gym. Chew VitaPLUR and dance with confidence. Use code LizzyJane for 10% off any order. Brian, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. I'm really glad we could make it happen. The show last night was fire.
So fire.
Yeah. For all those listening, this is Brian Rapaport. He is a photographer and writer for EDM.com, covers media, does tons of graphic design work for Liquid Stranger, Clozee, a whole list of artists, and some really awesome things coming up soon, which is dope. And you kind of wear a lot of hats. So thanks for coming on and like shedding some insight to what you do. For all those listening, can you give just like a little bit of a brief introduction to yourself?
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
Super stoked that we were able to make this happen. Yeah, so I do kind of a lot of different things: graphic design, 3D visuals, tour visuals, photography, festival photography, and then I write for EDM.com. So I do music releases and festival recaps and some general industry news and like things happening. Covered like some NFT world for a little bit and do like little bits of marketing and strategy and stuff like that. And then kind of just meld it all into the daily grind.
Yeah, that's really kind of in the most successful people, like on your side, like the back end of the industry, they wear multiple hats. And everybody kind of has like a select skill set of being able to do a lot of different things that kind of piles all into one and feeds off of one another.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty wild. Like even thinking before
NFTs have like come into the picture
Mhm.
on top of everything else. It's like a freelance grind that's never ending.
It's a never-ending grind for sure.
And you've gone from Montana, right?
Yes.
To LA. Now you're here in LA,
Now
which
I'm
is
here in LA.
fucking sick. How long have you been here for?
Since October, so
not that
that's
long.
like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah,
I didn't
not
notice
very
you were
long at all.
so new out here.
Super new, yeah.
So what made the decision for you to come out here?
So after the pandemic, or like after the first year of the pandemic, I was in Montana and I was just working remotely. I was doing everything remotely. So I was traveling from Montana to festivals, and then traveling and doing work, through the internet and stuff. And it was great. And it was working, but it was not fulfilling something in me, like being able to be with people in the industry and like meet people, and go to more more shows. There's not a lot of shows. I don't know if you've ever been to Montana, but
we're about to go skiing there actually.
Oh, dope.
In Silver Lake, right?
Yes.
Silver Lake, Silver something.
Silver something.
Yes. So I think it's Silver Mountain.
I think that's in Idaho actually. But,
okay.
Somewhere
around
might be
there.
In Montana. I'm not sure. But dope.
Yeah. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
For sure.
Like super out in the middle of nowhere. But it's beautiful. I've heard Montana's like nature-wise beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Especially in the summer. Can be super cold in the winter, but
I can understand like living out there. Totally different culture here.
For sure. I mean, there's just no, it's just totally different. Yeah, like you said, totally different culture.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed I wanted that change. And after the pandemic, that first year, I was kind of like, I just need to do something. So I came down here to LA for like 3 weeks. And shot a couple shows. This punk band, Beauty School Dropout, met up with them, and so I kind of got to see a scene a little bit, and just kind of like fell in love with the city, and like the pace, and coming from like very slow to like full speed ahead was super dope. And then I went back to Montana. I was just like, yeah, I think I'm definitely moving there. And then within like 2-3 months, I packed up all my stuff, moved down here, found a place online. I haven't even seen the place. I just moved down here.
That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, it definitely worked out pretty well. You got a pretty nice space in a really nice area. Like right off, that's Melrose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right off Melrose. It's you're in a prime spot.
Yeah, we got pretty lucky.
And when you moved out here, did you kind of see more opportunities arise for you to work when you were able to have that like face-to-face contact with people, or did not many things change?
No, everything kind of changed. I mean, just having venues like Exchange and 1720 and stuff like that, being able to shoot shows every weekend and having stuff every weekend was like, I mean, so I just started like reaching out to people really quickly. I was really surprised how quickly I started shooting shows. Yeah. And how very little downtime there was before, like from when I moved down here to everything picking up and then going. So yeah, there was very little downtime.
That's good though.
It was super good. I was surprised at how like I don't think it's the case. So I think I got lucky. I don't know, but
I don't feel like it's the case for like a lot of people who come out here. But you had done your work, like you had put in your time
for the past 10 years. I've been putting in just all remotely.
Yes,
and so I've been building up like a lot of things and building up my my brand and my career for like about 10 years. Previous to, so when I came down here, it was kind of just like plugging it in a way. And
and when I like looked at your resume, I was like, holy shit. I thought you really just did stuff for EDM.com and helped run the media and went to festivals and stuff like, which is all sick. And I know a lot of people who solely do that job, but I had no idea that you were into graphic design and animation and touring visuals like you were. And I assume that's where you kind of make a majority of your financial income from.
Yeah, it's
kind of balanced everywhere.
It's balanced everywhere. Okay. And I do like, other jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's super sick. So you say like for the last 10 years, you've been putting work in. So where did you go to college?
So I went to college at the University of Montana.
Okay. So you've been there.
I've been there, yeah, for like 25 years. since I was like 3 or 4.
That's crazy. Like whole
Yeah.
life. And then
Yeah.
you said that you guys you kind of worked with the people and the talent buyers out there who were throwing
Yes.
shows.
So when I was in college, my friend Chase started a company, and it was promoting shows, and I started as a graphic designer doing posters and like show flyers and stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know like what I was doing. I was just like making a show flyer and like learning as I went, and did hundreds of them. I don't know about hundreds, but I did a ton of flyers, and then kind of just figured it out and learned as I went.
Yeah.
And that kind of was the beginning. And after I kind of got some experience in Photoshop and taught myself how to use certain software and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was also in school for media arts,
Okay.
but most of what I learned was like the grind from midnight to like 4 a.m. listening to music and learning Photoshop and stuff like that. And I did that like every night.
Yes.
And then I plugged in. I wanted to be like, I got interested in photography, and so I worked at this pita shop, like as a delivery boy.
Yeah.
And until I had enough to buy the Canon 5D,
which is prime.
At the time, it was like prime, yeah. And so once I got it, I was like just full speed into learning photography, and that was like another uphill climb. And somewhere along the lines, they both kind of converged into like from like my design background to taking that over into editing photos and stuff like that. And then it kind of just like intertwined and started from there. And I was doing some videos, like recap videos too.
Okay.
For this company. And then I just kind of kept going and taking jobs, and never really saying no to a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, 10 years later.
That's so crazy. And then you kind of just did your own thing, which started from flyering, which inspired the graphic design and learning more. And that's kind of it doesn't really matter what direction I think, or like what field you're in, like whether you're a producer or a visual designer or just working on flyers. It's like the amount of hours that you put in kind of chips away at it. And you also see all of these other things that you're able to do with your skill set.
Yes.
Which is super cool that in the creative field, you're able to really freelance like that. Because a lot of time I see that like people kind of close themselves off where they're like, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do that. And if like the more things that you can do, like you came out here and you were set. And then how did you start working with EDM.com?
Okay. So when I was in Montana, I was working for this venue and just doing like some like low level marketing stuff, like street team and stuff, and also just like stagehand and load in, load out kind of stuff. And I left that company and went. I remember I left like as soon as I left, I just went straight into like this new direction, and started online like searching for like the next direction essentially. And I had essentially reached out to the editor at the time on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And sent him a message. I was like, hey, like, I'm looking for, I'm looking for like a job. I'm a photographer. I want to start taking photos at festivals and stuff like that. And he got back to me, and
which is crazy because they're literally like the biggest blog out there for EDM.
Yeah, he got back to me, and he's like, we hopped on a Skype call, and then I started writing for him. I think the first article was for PNAU.
Okay.
I can't remember which song, but I think it was
some release.
Some song, yeah. And then that was kind of it. And I didn't really write too much. And then about a year after that, there was a new editor, and then I started writing a lot.
So did you write like prior? Because I knew you're like mostly.
No, I didn't.
Did that just come from like?
I had to learn. That was so.
That's crazy.
I had to relearn how to write, or not relearn, but I had to learn how to write, because I had for the past couple of years before that I was working on like everything pixeleyes, which is the company that I started for all the graphics and stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
and so, but like writing was never like a, I'd never, I mean, I've written like my bio like over 100 times, you know, just like rewriting and stuff, but never like written an article and like, you know, like with proper grammar and like editing it and stuff. And like, I mean, I wrote papers in school and whatever, but you know, not anything being published.
Yes.
And so it was this whole like, you know, it was a
Learning
bumpy
curve.
ride in the beginning for sure of like learning how to like get my voice and write and make it engaging and not, you know, not too much and like back and forth.
So are you given, because I talk to a lot of like artist teams and they always talk about like proper blog support because so many people are kind of given like when they're given press releases, like a press release is when an artist has a new track coming out, a new album coming out, and they say, here's the artwork, here's what the song is about, here's a sneak peek, you know, do you guys want to premiere it? Do you guys want to support it? All that stuff. And then they'll just say how like a lot of blogs will literally just copy it like verbatim and won't put their own like voice into it because a lot of times the writer doesn't really care or is not like passionate about the project. So what do you like, what's your process when you get like a press release? Like, are you able to sift through them or are you giving them like assignments? Like, hey, you're writing about this.
So I'm not a staff writer.
Okay.
I'm just a contributing writer. So, but there are staff writers.
What's the difference?
Staff writers are they're given assignments and things like that. So I just contribute like. Okay. But I will get asked certain things, but it's mostly just contribution. Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, a lot of blogs. I see this all the time on blogs where it's literally a copy, like because I'll get the press release and then I'll see on the website, I'll see the article, and I'm like, this is literally you just copy, like maybe you changed a word, but like, you know, so on our site we will never just copy and paste it. Because we want to make it like writing. Otherwise, you're just kind of, you know, it's almost like you're almost like teetering on like, you know, plagiarism or like, but I mean, it's not, but I mean, I don't know. So, but we never do that. I mean, for me, like it took some time to like read a press release and then be able to extract like the information and then like mold it into your own way of saying what the information is. And it kind of was just like a repetition process that took some time. And then now I can read a press release and like extract it and kind of, you know, make it into my own thing.
Very like quickly, opposed to like, okay, I gotta put this information in here. And as a contributing artist, are you able to be a little bit more picky about like what you write about, or like come to them and say, hey, you know, I shot this festival. These are the artists I'm going to write about from the festival, write about their sets and all of that stuff? Or are those two things considered different? Like, is that your like writer side versus your photographer side in like contribution to your position at EDM.com? Or do they mingle and like mesh?
They kind of mesh.
Okay.
So for festivals, I typically cover the whole festival rather than one artist. But for like shows, like I could like a individual show, like last night, like I could cover that show. But for festivals, I don't focus just on like one artist because there's so many artists that it would be like, you know, well, we're just focusing on like the single artist. Like, so it does mesh. But I do get to like when Slander was releasing a bunch of stuff, like I was like really into it. And so I was like pitching like a lot of their stuff, or like Bob Moses. Big fan of Bob Moses. And so like if I'm a fan of an artist, and I try not to be like too picky on just like, oh, like a big fan, but I do tend to like gravitate towards the artist that I really like.
Yes.
And then try and like work with them. But then I also on the flip side, I try and like lift up, you know, up and coming artists. So like I'm always looking and listening to new music. Every week I'm scouring through Reddit and I get sent a bunch of music. But then I'm just like scouring through the internet to, you know, find new music all the time. so I'm always looking for like new artists that I can like help, promote in some way.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely like I feel like has to be a balance between, hey, these are like the headliners, these are the mainstream guys, so we kind of have to cover that, get a lot of traction, but also focusing on like the up and comers coming up and giving them a little bit of like light when they're doing something unique or doing something in a certain way that you're a fan of.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so much music out there and so many artists who are so good and they're killing it, and like but
It's
like
such a large
to get through like
Yes.
The noise is just like incredibly hard for a new artist.
Yes, because you got to have a team, and and a team sometimes can just be like one person, or it can be like 20 people, and it's like the bigger and like better version of a team when they're really on top of their stuff is gonna really platform the artist.
Yeah.
Because it's like we got to a point last year where we started working with like a publisher, and it's like when you have publishers sending out those like very professional press releases to people who have the contacts, and like I'm sure at edam.com you all have like a resource list of people that you get your stuff from, and while a lot of you guys search, you also have the people that are going to bring traffic to the website, and are going to get those hits and get the clicks.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I mean, in a time where I would say like online blogging is very up and down. Have you guys, like with your time there, have you seen a decline, an increase, kind of a weird fluctuation of traffic or like attention on the site?
So I don't know if I can really specify because I don't have
like the analytics, like
yeah, I don't get the analytics.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to say, but I think from what I've seen, like it does go up and down. And a lot of times we'll have like an article that does really good and we get a ton of traffic.
When there's drama, when there's something else.
Yeah, and like when Blau sold the NFT album,
like 3 million or something.
Yeah, for sure. Which that was crazy. But I think so certain things like that will draw traffic in.
Yes.
And then we do have. I mean, there are like there's a ton of publicists and stuff that will reach out all the time who really kill it at just promoting music and yeah.
You can always like when I read an article, like I can always tell if the writer is like passionate about the artist and knowledgeable about the artist because you can definitely see that verbatim.
Yeah.
But speaking of like NFTs, like this is a whole new game changer to like everybody in our industry.
Yeah, flipped a lot of things.
So what have you've dabbled in it a bit. So tell me about your experience there.
Yeah, so in the beginning of the pandemic, I think for like, I don't know if I'm alone, but like, Clubhouse, the app, like
Clubhouse was how I started to run around too. I would just sit there in my car and I'm like, I don't understand what the fuck they're talking about, but I'm going to keep listening. I'm going to try and figure it out.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I was super new to it and but I make 3D visuals. I mean, that's what I've been doing and I make, artwork. And so when I learned about NFTs, it was like, oh, this is really cool. And I got so into it. I like didn't sleep for days. I was just like listening to Clubhouse talks.
It's
like,
crazy.
But I got plugged somehow. I don't know how, but I got plugged into like some really good, what are the
like communities
rooms?
Rooms like chat rooms. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but that led to like, communities of NFT artists, guys that are just killing it. Like I was in the room with Blau when he sold that thing. And then I met a bunch of people from that little sphere. And they taught me a ton about just listening to them, taught me a ton about, the world of NFTs. And so then I started, making them. I sold like on OpenSea. I sold one, but I've made a couple, but then I kind of stopped making them. I just kind of started focusing on other stuff. And, but I do want to make some more. And I have tons of ideas for them and some 3D visuals that I have in mind to make some cool ones. But
it's just like a totally new world of like possibilities for creatives, especially for digital artists and producers and music makers. I'm like, if you don't take the time to at least check it out or like become knowledgeable on it, I think that in like 2 years time, like people will really regret it, because it really is it fluctuates like the stock market. There's a lot of cons to it as well, but it's this like as a creator, this window where you really can make good capital on creating art. And it's like before NFTs, digital artists would maybe sell prints, you know, they would maybe sell online prints, or they would have like galleries, an online store, but nothing like this. And like, while there's a lot of bullshit, there's a lot of really creative stuff too.
Yeah. It's definitely got saturated super quick. That was one of the things I was worried about, and then it did. And it ended up happening, which was inevitable. But it's still, I mean, and so that does make it more difficult to, you know, as soon as it got just flooded with, you know, everyone making stuff.
And it's people like not making like great shit.
Yeah. And it's all of the, it just got like, they opened the floodgates and just rushed. But it's still possible. And I think, it's definitely, I mean, there's a lot of like possibilities, I think, with the technology behind it more than even NFTs themselves. But like, there's a company, After Party. Okay. They're doing some cool like NFT gated events and stuff. So like, you buy the NFT and then you go, and that grants you like a membership into the event. And so it's kind of like an exclusive or more exclusive like event where like you're an NFT owner, and then you get to go to like this cool party. And like, so they're doing a festival in Las Vegas, and it's like the first NFT fest. And
that's the future.
But like that kind of like technology, I think that's definitely the future.
Associating something that's not tangible to something that is tangible.
Yes, exactly.
And it's like, because I don't think it was Supreme, the brand keeps coming to my mind, but I don't think it was Supreme, but some very big sneaker company that's like streetwear sneakers did an NFT drop where you bought the NFT, they sent you the sneakers. Yeah. So that's what, and as an artist, what I've also been seeing as well, Pauline Hare, there's a really cool new platform. I believe it's called Sound XYZ or Sound XXY or something like that. They, there's like ones popping up that don't necessarily have to have a digital art creation attached to it. You're just like selling your music. And I think there's like a beta catalog that's also for, you know, you sell your music in ETH or Poly and they can like buy the like ID from you. But when you buy it, they get an EP, or when you buy it, they get something else. Or when you buy it, you get a meet and greet or a ticket to all their concerts besides festivals. Which is that's very promising.
And it gives you control over, like, you know, you're, as an artist, you're the one who is now managing and you know, running all of your own, you know, avenues of revenue and you know, your streams of different things that you've got going on, and you're the one, you know, so it's like a centralized location.
Yes. It's got to scare a lot of people who are usually controlling artists.
Yeah. Because it cuts out, you know,
the middleman. The middleman is cut out, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, maybe I don't want to get paid 0.0004 cents per stream. And, you know, you see people like, Luca Lush, or even, you know, Pauline Hare, like I just said, and, you know, they're selling a song for, you know, 1.4 ETH, 1.5 ETH. And while it does fluctuate, you know, it's good to keep some, but if you cash it out at a time that it's high, it's like, hey man, like you just made $1,500 off a song. That's 10 million streams. Like it's crazy on Spotify. But it's just a crazy world of potential, and it'll be really interested to see it unfold. But I also think that like you're still ahead of the curve if you're like just getting in now, like, because it's not, it scares people that there's not like a customer service line to call, or there you know, because I've seen stuff too with the wallets, and there's like hackers and all of the, I even see a bunch of artists getting like hacked their Instagrams for like Bitcoin things, and that's wild too.
I mean, that's, you know, but I mean, that can happen. that could
With
happen
with a
to
lot of
any
things.
account.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, the internet is definitely a place that is
Scary.
susceptible to, you got to be careful of putting your personal. You just got to be careful, because you never know, especially as if you've got a big following and people are looking at you,
Yes.
you're attracting attention sometimes from people.
It's like the Algerian prince scam.
Yeah.
Like, hey, click on this link for $5,000 and there goes all your ETH and all your wallet's gone and it's empty and you lost 20 grand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember just seeing Blau do it at the beginning of the pandemic, and I didn't understand it yet, but I was blown away. I was like, what is going on here?
Oh, it was crazy. Yeah, I totally
And you were in the room when it was sold.
Yeah. Well, on the Clubhouse. Yeah. We did there was a countdown, and it was just going up and up and up, and well, I guess it's not a countdown, but it was a countdown until it sold. So, but it kept going.
People kept bidding because it was bidding.
Right.
Was that on OpenSea?
No, he had his own platform on his they built their own.
He was all about it.
He's super about it, and he's been doing it for a long time. I mean, if anyone I think deserved to sell it, it's he's been putting in the work and building the community and so that was super cool to see. But yeah, it was on his own platform.
Good for him, dude.
Yeah.
Good for him. I definitely think OpenSea is what most artists in our industry use.
I think, people wanted to, the nifty gateways and the super rares and stuff, that was really hot, and people were, it was super exclusive and everyone wanted to be on there because it seemed like everyone was really if you could get on Nifty Gateway, you're going to make a ton of money. And and there was just this hype of this, I want to get on Nifty Gateway. So, but then it was impossible to get on unless you're
do you have to apply?
I can't even remember. I think you it's almost like a waiting list.
Yeah.
But it's you have to be accepted, and there has to be enough of I think you have to have enough of a following that you're going to be able to create enough hype.
Revenue. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because, you have to pay the gas fees, you have to pay the percentage, and kind of takes money to make money, in anything. And it's even speaking of that, what you said about working the job to get your first piece of legitimate equipment. Your equipment as a media personnel, and even looking around at your studio, none of this is cheap, and what I find is that a lot of people, whether they're artists or creators or managers, whatever, they don't really understand sometimes the equipment that it takes. You can do it with little to nothing.
Yeah.
But to get to a certain level, it's a lot. And I see that mostly within media personnel, where, when you're starting, what we were talking about earlier, people don't want to pay you.
Yeah.
And it's work for exposure. I'm getting paid even now. I'll talk to friends who do media for very large acts, 20 to 50 grand festival acts.
Yeah.
Hey, here's 300. Yeah, here's your $300.
Yeah, it's tough out there.
So, what has your experience been in building your fee as a brand of you being a photographer and a content creator?
Well, the process has been relatively the same, but I mean, when I was starting out, I would do a lot of work for free.
Yeah.
As I think most media people do, just to plug yourself in and get the experience and build the portfolio and all that. It's hard to say at what point you just kind of start to know when okay, you're adding value and you're able to add value to somebody's project or whatever, and then you start to have the experience behind yourself to know that yes, this is what I'm worth, and this is and so you just kind of over time learn to believe in yourself, I suppose, and then know that this is what you're worth, and but a lot of times still I mean you take what you can get, and if it's a job it's worth its weight in other ways, if you're going to be able to network with someone, or like it's a really like big addition to your portfolio, it's like, okay, well, like, you know, this is pretty cool, like, you know. But I definitely am a big advocate for paying photographers.
Yes.
And even though it's not always the case with in this industry, but or you know, it's just tough. But yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely just a process of you got to learn how to like navigate through, like, in the, you know, when you're starting out, how to navigate through like the process and the back channels of like negotiating and like, you know, all of this stuff and licensing and learning copyright and you know, who's owning what. Like if I take the photo and but then I give it to you, like, you know, so like learning.
How does that work?
Well, copyright's interesting. I mean, it's essentially like, you know, as a photographer, like you own like as the creator of something, like you own that copyright because you created it.
Yeah.
And so like it's I think it's like Title 17 or something.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but you essentially, I'm kind of fuzzy on it because I, you know, but
it's just interesting because it's like I don't even think about it when I get photos from somebody. I'm like, oh, like,
well, essentially, yeah. So like, say a photographer takes a photo of you at a show, it's essentially, you know, assuming the photographer didn't sign anything, like,
yeah,
he would own or she would own the rights to that photo. But like, you know, it gets complicated, like, you know, with when venues are involved and things like that, because the venue is like a location.
Yes.
Locations can be copyrighted. And so, you know, it's, and then, you know, when you're working with like, you know, celebrities and people with high influence, like they can be, their likeness can be copyrightable. And so
Fucking
like
crazy.
if you take a photo of a celebrity and their likeness is used, like that can be yeah, so I mean it's tricky, but
it is tricky.
You learn the ins and outs of it. And I don't know, it was a long-winded answer.
No, you're good. I feel like we could talk about copyright probably for like an hour, because that's like that intellectual property versus like your own thing, and it's this very. I eventually want to have like an entertainment lawyer on to talk about like all of the ins and outs of all of that shit, because it's like this whole other realm.
Yeah.
And you know, over time, obviously, you built value, you know, with your business and your multiple hats and your multiple positions that you do. How did you kind of work, like have the opportunity to work for Clozee and Liquid Stranger?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't know.
You're like, it just like happened.
You know, I mean, yeah, like I think it was an accumulation of like, you know, when I was starting out, I worked, I was, you know, able to work with guys like Zeds Dead and Keys N Krates in Minnesota and Steve Aoki, just doing like show flyers and stuff.
Yeah.
And so like that gave me a portfolio to like kind of make a foundation to show. And then I started, well, so in the pandemic, I started doing this like everyday thing. So I would make a new piece of artwork every day. And I did that for 2 years.
Oh, that's cool. That's kind of what people did.
Yeah, exactly.
For like 10 years, though. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. I think he's like at 13 years now or something. I don't. It's insane. But yeah, but that taught me a lot, and that's when I really got into 3D visuals and stuff. And then so I just started posting every day too, and like really trying to grow my account. And I sold all my artwork on. I still do on this site called ArtGrab.
Okay.
So they like, it's like an online store. And so that helped like generate awareness for the artwork side. And then yeah, I mean,
that's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it just like a combination of those things kind of had their teams reach out to you.
Yeah, yes. So essentially it just kind of, people just started reaching out like more and more.
Yeah.
I mean, they like, it's always kind of been like people reach out, but then the past 2 years people really started like reaching out and then like Clozee's team reached out to me for this project. Actually Liquid Stranger's team reached out first, and we did some tour visuals.
That's awesome.
Some album artwork. And then same thing with Clozee. And then I've got some new stuff coming up that I'm really excited
Yeah.
to share.
Yeah, we can't talk about
when
it,
comes out.
but yeah, that's super sick. I mean, you're definitely working with some of the largest names in, you know, electronic, I would say, music for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, which is awesome.
It's been, you know, I'm super grateful that I've just been able to like continually do it too. And like that, like it's kind of you know, blows my mind still that like I'm even doing like stuff like this and like,
yeah.
So
it has to be a little bit surreal, but now you just maintain and you grow and, you know, new opportunities will come and you're like in the best place you could possibly be in to do this. So before I let you go, I need like 3 pieces of advice for somebody who's really aspiring to be on the media side of the industry. And they're like, do like a 101 for dummies media advice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Essentially, I would say that number 1 is dedication or commitment. You have to commit yourself to doing this because it's not I'm going to kind of do this and kind of just do some other stuff. But it's like you have to devote yourself to like, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do this and take it to as far as I can go with it. Because it's going to be a long journey and it's going to take you a long time, you know, depending on like, you know, how, you know, your level of experience and stuff like that. But it's going to take you, you know, if you're starting out from the beginning, it's going to take you a while to like learn, you know, all of the different avenues of, you know, computers to, you know, software to cameras to lighting and, you know, editing and stuff like that. And, so there's a lot of things to learn. Yeah. So the second thing I would say is just sit down and you have to sit down and you have to do the work. You have to be able to, and that's it kind of plays off the first one. You have to, you know, you have to be able to sit down and like, you know, just do the work and continually, I guess I'd say the second thing is consistency. You have to be able to sit down consistently and grind and learn this stuff because it does take time. And consistency is going to be what's going to take you a far way because it's going to give you the foundation. You know, eventually you'll build experience and build upon like what you're learning, and it'll kind of compound and grow. But you have to consistently put in the work, and it might take years, and it probably will for most people. And the third thing, the first 2 are definitely like the most important.
Yeah.
The third thing I guess I'd say is like the internet has so much information that like if you're feeling like you can't learn something, but you have a computer, like just Google and YouTube everything, because that's essentially what
it's right
I
there.
did. And I mean, I went to school, but I just eventually you get good at like what to Google, what to search, how to search for something and find the answer that you're looking for. And that does take some time, but just, you know, ask away and like dive into the internet because like it's out there and it's available for you, and you can reach out and you can literally grab it. And, you know, if you want to put yourself out there and do it, you can find that information and then learn it and absorb it and then put it into practice in the real world.
Just takes time.
It just takes time.
Yeah. Patience.
Yeah. Devotion or dedication, consistency, and then Google and
Google.
patience.
Google and patience. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm really glad we got to like have a talk. I know like there's tons of people who want to get into this industry right now because I mean it is pretty cool, you know, and it's really cool to like work your passion as a living and absolutely. You know, be able to sustain yourself in a good lifestyle that way. But it is a hard road and it's like often a very long one that's not rewarded right off the bat. But like if you kind of are patient and can obtain the knowledge and are proactive about it, I guess you'd say, then it will pay off. Yeah, it definitely will pay off. Well, thank you, Brian. That was great.
Thank you so much.
Sweet. Peace out. Bye, guys.
Well, that was fun. I hope you guys learned a lot. I learned a lot. So I'm going to take that you learned a lot too. But just a heads up, we have some fucking crazy guests coming on soon. Like, been like receiving all of these emails all week, and it just gets me so excited because I'm pretty much just like a one-woman crew doing this right now. And the people that I'm going to sit down with in the next 2 months are gonna like blow your mind. I know I've had some super large guests on the podcast, but just get ready. Okay. See you guys next week.